your host, Sean Aaron, and welcome to Dem Bois Inc. Podcast. This show is a platform where trans men of color voices can be amplified as we share our transitional stories and many other issues that are relatable to trans men of color in our existence. This show is not only to amplify our voices, but to raise awareness and conversation around our lived experiences.
So with this episode, I'm going to answer a question that was presented to me. So this question comes from Mark Travis Rivera in Atlanta, Georgia. And the question was, well, I think it was not necessarily a question, but it was more so a statement, but it was like a question towards the end. But it was, I discussed why and how I transitioned, but I didn't discuss the courage that it took for me to transition. I think that's kind of powerful to talk about courage. And so I was kind of stuck with that for a minute. Like I had to think on it and dwell on it for a bit. I even had to take it with me into my therapy session. So I talked about, if you listen to the previous episode, I talked about why I transitioned. I talked about how I transitioned in some ways. I don't think I really got into specifics around surgery. Maybe I'll talk about that at a later date, but I never discussed really like what was my drive, what was my motivation, where did my courage come from? How did I have the courage to step into who I am and step into, how I wanted to move around in the world? And so I was kind of like thinking, I'm like, I never thought I was courageous. And so I really had to sit with it. I sat with it for some days. And then I had to think, well, maybe courage is a word that we use so often, but we don't really understand what courage means. So I went digging, right? So I went trying to find the definition of courage. So, of course, I did a quick little Google search, and the Webster definition that came back for courage was in a noun, it means the ability to do something that frightens one. And the second definition was strength in the face of pain and grief. So I was like, okay, I kind of understand. I'm like, courage is a word that I've used. Like, when I think of courage, I'm thinking like, okay, somebody is running into a burning building and pulling somebody out in the face of danger. They're courageous. Or somebody standing up to a bully when they've been picked on, like, oh, that's courageous. But I never really put together what I did in my life and how that was necessarily courageous. So then I was like, okay, wait a minute. I need to get more in depth into what this courage is about. What is this? So then I went and I looked at Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not really a source where I would get stuff, but I just wanted to like find other means for like, what does courage really, really mean? Like, how can I get that definition that would allow me to describe how I felt and how I moved in my transition? And so Wikipedia's courage is the choice and willingness to confront agony, pain, danger, uncertainty, or intimidation. I'm like, all right, okay, that's a little bit more. And so then I went digging a little bit more, and I went into the Urban Dictionary, looked up the Urban Dictionary, and I was actually kind of upset when I found out, because I've looked at the Urban Dictionary before. I don't know if anybody listening knows this. Urban is often categorized as certain types of people or certain neighborhoods. You think, oh, that's urban, or certain dress. When I think of urban, though, I think of style, I think of creativity, I think of people of color. And I was kind of upset because the person who started with Urban Dictionary is a non-person of color. So I was a little irritated about that, but that's a whole nother episode. So anyway, so in the Urban Dictionary, so the Urban Dictionary is like a collective, like where people can just go in and add their definition to certain words that are quote unquote considered urban. So a lot of slang, a lot of just like words that aren't widely used, or like, that's, I won't say normal, but like that's not vocabulary words that aren't often used. And so I went looking in there, and then so in the Urban Dictionary says Courage is the ability to confront pain, fear, humiliation, or anything else a person would naturally stay away from. Courage can be divided into mental and physical. Mental courage encompasses threats, attacks, and discomforts of the mind, and physical courage is pain, hardship, torture, and death. So then I was like, okay, so synonyms for courage is bravery, valor, fearlessness, audacity, and boldness. And then when I got synonyms for it, I was like, you know what? I get this. I get how courage can pertain to my life and the things that I've been through in my life and my transition. So then I got a couple of quotes. So, quote from Brene Brown: courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. And Maya Angelou spoke on courage and said, courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. It's like, okay, all right. And then a quote from Nelson Mandela: I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. So with all that information so then I took it to my therapist and I was like, wait a minute, maybe courage is not something that I have. Maybe courage is not something that I'm familiar with, or maybe I just don't have the capacity to exhibit any more courage in my life. I'm 41 years old. I've been courageous enough, right? I came out to my mother a few times. That's a whole nother episode too, by the way, because I always talk about one time that I came out to my mother. I actually came out to my mom a few times as I was growing up. Anyway, that's another episode. And I was like, maybe I can't be courageous no more. Like, I don't have the capacity. I don't know what it is. I'm all tapped out of courage. I don't have it. And my therapist kind of like reassured me and was like, it's not that I don't have I don't have courage. It's like working and building the capacity to have more courage. But courage is every day. Like, courage is waking up in the morning. Courage is defeating depression and getting up and moving on with your day. Courage is, living my truth every day, right? So then I had to reflect on what started like this. So like, I feel like the last 10 years of my life, I have done the most. In the last 10 years of my life, I would say maybe like about the last 10 years of my life, I've done the most movement. There's been the most movement. There's been the most growth, the most loss, the most just emotions, just everything that I've experienced in the last 2 years has been more than I've experienced my whole life combined prior to this last 10 years. And so I was reflecting on like how I've been moving in courage more so recently, right? So I think I have talked about this, but I was a mentor at a boys and men of color youth camp here in California. So it's a camp put on by the Sons and Brothers, and so we take about 100 youth, young boys, men of color, also some trans identified youth, and then we go up north and we stay in the campsite for a week. And so we are responsible for the young people, and we participate in activities with them. We do workshops with them, but it's mostly like for support, right? So in the cabin, you're assigned just like me and maybe like 2 other mentors in the cabin, and there's like 10 youth per cabin, right? So it was this one particular year. I can't remember how long ago this was. This was probably about 6 years ago. And I think this is like what really jump started my idea of courage, because before, right, I've been through a lot of stuff, but I never really thought that I was putting courage into it. But it was this one youth, and he probably was about 14 years old, maybe about 13, 14 years old. And so he just randomly came up to me, and he was like, Sean, He says, I want to ask you a question. I'm like, all right, what's up, man? I'm not thinking, they say out of the mouths of babes, but like this was something that really shook me, really. And so he was like, are you living your best life? And I looked at him. I didn't say it to him, but I'm thinking in my mind, how the fuck you know about living your best life? You only 14 years old, right? That's what I was thinking. Like, how you gonna ask me if I'm living my best life? I'm older than you, right? But then I had to think. I was shook, right? And so he said, well, I said, I think that I'm living my best life. I don't know. Maybe, I guess. I don't know. And he was like, well, you should be living your best life, because he was like, I'm living my best life. And he walked off and went on about his day. But that comment, that question has stuck with me for these last 5 or 6 years. And it's like a moment of reflection. All the time I reflect on that moment. Like I remember it like it was yesterday. So he really had me shook. He done went on about his damn day. And here I am over here stuck. I'm stuck over this question that this 14-year-old kid asked me. And so that night I couldn't sleep because I was just laying in the bed, and I was like, of course I couldn't sleep. It was like a cabin bed, but it wasn't my own bed. But I was up, and I was just thinking like, how dare I was going through all these emotions. Like, how dare he ask me, am I living my best life? I think I'm living my best life. And then I had to be really, really honest and a bit of courageousness within myself to be like, you know what? I'm not living my best life. And from that moment, that's like, I think about that. I probably think about it at least a couple of times a week. And I do a check with myself. Sean, what you doing in this moment? Is that you living your best life? Sean, in 5 years from now, what will it take for you to be living your best life? And I think that question kind of like shifted a whole lot on the inside of me. And I started to do things that were more courageous. I'm gonna tell you now though, like, I'm a scary ass person. If you know me, I just look like this. I look tough. I look like, I could take on the world, but on the inside, I might fake it though. I might can't take on the world, but I'm a scary person. Like, I'm scared of like the littlest things. You'd be like, Sean, are you really scared of that? Like, yes, I am. Don't judge me. But I felt like with this question, it was a lot of things that I thought I feared that I shouldn't fear, because that fear was allowing me not to live my best life. And I think about courage, the ability to do something that frightens one. And I think about the moments in my life where it took courage. Like, I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. Like, I've done courageous things. When I think of courageous, like earlier I said, like jumping into a burning building and pulling somebody out. Like, I've done courageous things. Like, I've saved people's lives on multiple occasions, right? I'm not gonna go into details of like, but I've pulled people from like crash sites and crawled in cars and saved people's lives. I've done things where I think like, oh, it's courageous, but I never thought like me living my life or me living my truth is something that's courageous. Even right, doing this podcast is a bit courageous, right? Like, I'm telling my truths. Hey, this is Sean Aaron, the host of Dem Bois Podcast. Are you enjoying the podcast so far? Great. I'm glad that you are. Would you consider donating today to help support the continuation of this podcast? As you know, this podcast aims to serve as a platform to highlight and amplify the voices of trans men of color and share our transition stories. The podcast not only aims to amplify trans men of color voices, but it also raises awareness around our lived experiences. You would like to donate? Where can you donate? Great. I'm glad that you asked. Link in our description will take you directly to Network for Good, whom we've partnered with in order to collect donations for the podcast. Or you can visit our website. On the website, click the donate button, and from there, you are able to donate directly to the podcast. All donations are tax deductible. What does the donations go to? Oh, I'm glad that you asked. Your donation will help to support our production costs. We are working with Jasmine from Pink Lady Productions that brings you this awesome content. And also, we pay our guests an honorarium. pay our guests an honorarium? Yes, we do. Why? Because as trans men of color, we would like to support and uplift each other and honor the time that's given out to come here and share their stories. So if you love this podcast, share and donate. See you on the next episode. Take care. So I was reflecting and just thinking about courage, and I was trying to like think of times in my life when I needed courage the most, and what did I do to like, pull more courage from in that situation? Like, how did I don't know, how did I pump myself up, or how did I build the capacity within myself to have courage in that moment? So ever since I was young, music has always been my refuge. So whenever I was feeling down, whenever I was feeling happy, whenever I was on punishment, because music was the only thing I could do when I was on a punishment or grounded, music has like always been my refuge, and I go to music all the time. So if you know me, if you've ever been in love with me, like if we've ever been in a romantic relationship, or just in general, even just with friendships, if there's a situation going on, I don't know, maybe we need to turn up, we about to get hyped, I'm gonna pull a song on my ass and be like, boom, this is the perfect song for this situation. Or like if we having a conversation and you might say something and it'll trigger my thought, like, ooh, I got a song just for that. Like I will, like even in like romantic relationships, like I will dedicate a CD to you. Well, back when there were CDs. So now I will say, I don't want to date myself, but I don't want to age myself. I mean, so I'll say that I'll make you a playlist. I'll create you the most bomb playlist with like all the songs to set the mood for whatever the occasion, or just to say, I love you, I care about you. So yeah, so like music has always been my go-to. Even like during times of depression, I would just lay down. This is when I was younger, mostly I would lay down, I would put my earphones on, and I would just zone out to the world, and I would just find that song that catered to my emotion in that moment, and I would just cry, or I would reflect, or in this case, what I'm talking about now, I would build courage up I needed to conquer a situation, right? So even in high school, I played sports. So before the basketball game, I play basketball, I play softball. So before the basketball game, we on the bus, we on the road trip. I got my music on. I'm trying to turn up because I'm trying to get pumped because we about to go play this game, right? So I always had moments in my life where I found music that fit and catered to the situation. So when I think about courage, there are two songs that even now that I tend to hum or sing, and I didn't even realize it till I started reflecting on courage, how I tap into these songs to help me build courage in those moments. So the first song is by India Irie, and this song is from 2001. Strength, Courage, and Wisdom is the title of the song. And I remember I used to play this all the time. So I'm talking about, when I'm talking about building courage, I'm mostly in this moment, I'm talking about when I was homeless. So I did have an episode previously about homelessness and the things that happened while I was unhoused and when I was younger. And so if you want to go back and kind of like listen to that episode of like knowing the moment and what I was going through at that time. But Strength, Courage, and Wisdom was a song that I would play all the time to get myself to. So now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, that was how I helped build courage within myself. So the in the title is Strength, Courage, and Wisdom. And in the chorus, India Irie sings Strength, Courage, and Wisdom. It's been inside of me all along. And that used to just give me that courage, like, no, whatever I need in this moment is inside of me. So it was almost like I was giving myself a pep talk, like, you can do this. You can conquer this. You will see yourself. You will get out of this. You will see the end. Everything that you need, everything that you want, everything that will qualify you to overcome this situation is already inside of you. Just tap into it. Be courageous. Step up, and that, your courageousness will see you through this, right? And then there was another song that I listened to, and even before like this episode, recording this episode, I was kind of revisiting these songs, and this song in particular is a song that I realize that I still have deeply rooted emotions around. So rethinking the song and then like re-listening to it, my emotions came out because I remember the time and the moment where I was when I used to listen to this song the most. And this song is by Lauryn Hill featuring D'Angelo, and it's Nothing Even Matters. And that was in 1998 that this song came out. But I graduated in 1999. So Nothing Even Matters was the song, our theme song for our senior prom. And so, yeah, I think it's kind of catered to like being a love song of nothing even matters. Like the world don't matter, just me and you, meaning you, me and you, my boo, right? But I think this song took on a deeper meaning for me because I used to listen to this song on repeat. When I'm saying on repeat, like it was on repeat all day. When I was homeless, we used to had this song on repeat in a car. So if you listen to my previous episode, homelessness, I was homeless in the car with my girlfriend at the time. And so in that moment to us, Nothing Even Matters was more of a love song to us. And nothing even matters. No, nothing matters that we homeless. It doesn't matter that we homeless. It doesn't matter that our parents rejected us. It doesn't matter that we don't know what we're going to eat today. It doesn't matter if we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Nothing even matters but the love that we have for each other. So that was a song that we played over and over. We would cry because, that's what we did at that time. And we cried. But that not knowing until now, like reflecting on that song, it was like, that was how I was building the capacity to have more courage, that I was saying that nothing even matters, nothing even matters, nothing even matters. So now when I think of it now, I think of that like nothing even matters, like nothing matters. I'm going to build this courage within myself and I'm going to conquer this thing, whatever it is that I need to be courageous for in this moment. So it's just really powerful, like thinking about how music has been my refuge, how music has been I want to say like my crutch. And like when I needed help, music has been my therapy. So, I just think it's, sometimes like when we can't find the courage, like you got to find something within you that helps you with that courage, whether it's getting on the phone and calling your friend, or listening to your favorite song, or eating your favorite comfort food, whatever you need to help you build the courage to take on the situation that you're looking to take on, or whatever it is, even if it's just life. I need the courage to continue on in life. Like everything is going against me. My parents don't accept me. My family don't talk to me. I'm out on my own. I don't have any friends. I don't have a job. Like all these things is like you build courage, and it's like finding those ways in which you can build a capacity to have more courage and pulling strength from certain things like I did with this music. So moving into transitioning, I think that it was just, it frightened me, of course, but I knew in the long run, me doing something that was going to make me happy was the best thing to do. And not knowing that in that moment that was courageous. I think that I wanted to be honest with myself. I wanted to, because at the end of the day, I don't have to answer to anybody but myself, right? After when everybody's gone home, when all the lights are out, or at the end of the day, like the only person that you have to face is yourself. And if you're not doing it in a way that you're living your best life, like you need to rethink what you're doing. Like being courageous is just like Brene Brown says, it's about showing up and letting ourselves be seen. I knew that I wanted to show up, but I didn't want to be seen in the ways that I was seen before. So I demanded of myself the courage within myself to stand up to, I think my courageousness is happiness. I think to me, courage equals happiness. If you want to do something that you feel will make you happy, it's going to take a little bit of courage. It's going to take stepping outside of what you already know, stepping outside of the norm and being courageous. I mean, I think like I'm constantly thinking about this. I think I'm constantly working towards this, right? Like, I think like loving out loud takes courageousness. I think showing up takes courageousness. I think we have to like really think about courage, rethink courage and what it means to be courageous, what it means to live our best lives. I think like my bit of advice to someone is like, oh, I'm not courageous at all. I think that if you dig really, really deep, there are parts of you that can exhibit courageousness and will allow you to be happy, will allow you to live your best life, will allow you to be the person that you're supposed to be. I don't think that, it's scary. I don't think that we can do anything without a little bit of fear, without, worried about, what other people would think. It's kind of hard, right? We human. It's kind of hard to not worry about the outcomes of things. But I think the most important thing of it all is like, you have to practice it. You have to do it. It's like a have to, like happiness, wanting to be happy, wanting to live your truth. It's a must. And I think and Maya Angelou saying that you can't practice any other virtue consistently without courage. I think that's true because it comes like, it's all hand in hand. Like because it's hand in hand, right? Like once you are courageous, once you stepping into yourself, once you're living your truth, then everything else kind of like falls into place. So then comes your happiness. Then comes your self-respect for yourself because you are being courageous and living your truth. It's really hard to like put into words of like how I felt courageous or how I think that what courage means to me. Even like with all these definitions, I think that it's still kind of hard to kind of define of what courage is. But I think that I'm constantly working on myself. I'm a work in progress. I'm always working on myself. I'm always working to build capacity. I'm always working to step up and do what's best for me. Be brave, be fearless, to have the audacity to live my truth, be bold in the things that I do. I think that it's always constant. It's a continuum. It never stops. As long as, there's always something that is going to need me to be courageous. It's going to need me to, if you can't, I feel like you can't grow if you're not stepping up and being courageous in more ways than one into the next thing. Like, it's the same like graduating from school. Like you have to be courageous when you go to the fourth grade, but to go to the fourth grade, you have to pass the third grade. And like, it's like a stepping process. So my advice to someone listening, when you think, oh, I don't have the courage. I heard all those definitions. I don't know what courage is to me. I don't know what it means for me. I think that it takes a bit of reflection, but my advice would be to go towards happy. If you know deep down inside, sometimes it takes digging deeper to know what it is that makes you happy too. Like you can't move towards a direction of happiness if you don't even know what it is that would make you happy. So I think like the first thing is to like define what it means to be happy. What would your life look like? How could you live your best life? Living your best life, what would that look like? And then you take all of that and then you step into that direction to find your happiness. I think that courage is something that is built, something that it's hard. It's hard work. Being courageous is hard work. That's true. Sometimes, there's a spark and you could do it right away. And sometimes it takes a little bit of work and it takes a little bit of time. And I think that to find your happiness, you have to be courageous. You have to know the direction. You have to know where you're going and know where you want to go and live your best life. I mean, I'm still trying to figure this out of like what courage means. I think I'm still thinking about it. I'm still pondering on like more ways in which I can be courageous, more ways with which I can step up, more ways that I can grow, more ways that I can learn. So I'm always a work in progress. I'm always striving to do better. Every day I wake up, I want to do better today. I want to be happy today. I want to live my best life today. I want to be courageous today. In what ways can I show up for myself? Because at the end of the day, showing up for yourself is what's most important. Yes, we have our loved ones, we have our family, we have our significant others, we have our children, but we are no good unless we show up for ourselves. We're no good to no one else unless we show up for ourselves. So through it all, through the pain, through the struggles, being courageous equals happiness, I think. So thank you, Mark Travis Rivera, for provoking that thought process within me to like learn about courage within myself and what it means to be courageous in my journey, reflecting back on my journey and of what I did that actually was courageous that I did not know. So it's also like honoring yourself and knowing that, hey, you did that. Like, yeah, you know, you've been through that. You made it through that. So, and that's courageous. So remember, if you have a question that you would like to ask me, or you like to hear answered on the show by me or a future guest of the show, be sure to send your questions to hello@dembois.org. That's HELLO@dembois.org. All right. Until next time, take care.
Thank you for listening to today's show. Once again, I'm your host. My name is Sean Aaron. Be sure to be sure to share this show out with folks in your networks. If you would like to connect with us, be sure to follow us on Instagram or Facebook. You can also visit our website at dembois.org. That's DEMBOIS.org. If you think you will make a great guest on this show, or maybe you have a question for myself or a future guest that you would like to hear answered on the show, please send an email to hello@dembois.org. That's HELLO@dembois.org. Until next time, take care.